Good evening. We're going to have the August 20th, 2019 call to order the meeting. Invocation will be by Reverend Raspberry. Is it Raspberry? All right, come up to the podium and do it, Red. Then we'll have the Pledge of Allegiance by Commissioner Firstner, then the roll call. Please stand.
Let's pray. Father God, we thank you for this opportunity to gather together one more time. We thank you for the opportunity to come together, God, and lift up our voices to your name. Oh, Father, we thank you, Lord, for this gathering, Lord, that we come to do the work that you called us to do as leaders in this community. We ask, Lord Jesus, you give us guidance, you give us strength, God. God, you give us boldness in you, Lord, to do what you've called us to do, God, within this meeting. God, we ask that you bless this city, God. Bless the residents in this city. Bless every school board member, everybody that is representing the city of Ocoee tonight. We ask that you just be with them and guide them into all truth, God. And God, help us on our journey when we feel like that we're tired and weary and weak. Give us the strength, God. Give us the unction that only comes from you to help us to go further, to do the work that you've called us to do, God. And God, we be so grateful to give you the glory, the praise, and the honor. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen.
Amen.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Commissioner Brinson?
Here.
Commissioner Wilson?
Present.
Mayor Johnson?
Here.
Commissioner Firstner?
Here.
Commissioner Oliver?
Here.
All right, we have proclamation. I'll read that, and you see we all have shirts on, so as soon as we get through and I read this proclamation, we'll give it to the young lady here for it, and we'll come down front and get pictures made. All right. Whereas Healthy West Orange inspires healthy behaviors and provides resources to help residents make better lifestyle choices. And whereas Healthy West Orange champions healthy programs that deliver health and wellness activities. And whereas Healthy West Orange unites health-minded organizations for whom a healthy community provides meaningful benefits. And whereas Healthy West Orange advocates for healthy communities' decisions and encourages local leaders to keep their community's health and wellness a top priority. And whereas Healthy West Orange declares the third Friday in September as annual West Orange Healthy Selfie Day. Whereas the City Commission of the City of Ocoee does hereby proclaim September the 20th, 2019 as West Orange Healthy Selfie Day. And we urge all citizens to join in supporting this initiative. In witness whereof I have hereunto set my hand and caused the seal of the City of Ocoee, Florida to be affixed this 20th day of August 2019. Mayor Rusty Johnson. All right, let's all go down front.
Thank you all so much for wearing the shirts.
This one doesn't have a certificate. What happened to it? Oh, I got it.
So I'll do one with you all holding, and then I'll take one actual selfie that I'll get into. So we'll do one that's everybody together, and if, Mayor. Oh, will you take one too? Oh, yes. So, yay. Well, and I definitely want a selfie as well. if you haven't heard, Healthy West Orange is a community movement to create the healthiest community in the nation. This September, we are giving away 2 free family memberships to the YMCA for winners of our Healthy Selfie competition. We're just asking you anytime in September to take a healthy selfie doing any small healthy choice, submit it on social media, and you're eligible to win. So please join us for Healthy Selfie, and huge thank you to the commissioners and the mayor of Ocoee for supporting us. Thank you guys so much.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Do you have coffee before you came?
You just keep it up.
All right.
That's healthy.
Staff reports.
Thank you, Mayor. I do have one add-on item this evening. It's a school resource officer agreement with Innovations Montessori Charter School. You have the exact same agreement for Renaissance Charter on the consent agenda. The Montessori School delivered their signed agreement yesterday, so we're adding it on. This is an agreement at the recommendation of the Orange County School Board that charter schools employ the use of a resource officer, and we will be charging them a prorated fee based on a 10-month service, and that comes out to $72,100 for the school year 2019-2020. So we respectfully recommend that the commission approve this agreement.
Does that get added to the consent agenda, or is that separate when it's an emergency item?
It has to be
Separate?
voted on separately.
Sorry about that.
If you wanted to wait to vote until after the consent agenda, you could do that. If you thought there was a reason not to approve the other one on the consent
We'll go
agenda.
ahead and vote on this
Oh,
now.
Yes.
We don't have to vote this up, just vote. All right, well, I need a motion for approving this, for the school Innovations Montessori Charter School. Do I have a motion?
I'll make a motion.
Motion made by Commissioner Oliver. Do I hear a second?
Second.
Second, was that Commissioner Brinson?
Yes.
Commissioner Brinson, thank you. All right, let's vote. Motion carries unanimously. All right, Charlie. All right. That's it?
Yes, sir.
All right, commissioners' announcements. Commissioner Brinson,
None at this time.
Commissioner Wilson,
I have nothing at this time, thank you.
Commissioner Fershner,
Not at this time.
Commissioner Oliver.
Yes, I do have just a couple items at this time. One, we just finished up with our summer job program with the city. Gotten a lot of feedback from the different departments that work with the kids in the summer. They were pleased that the kids learned a lot. They actually put a lot of effort into the work that they were doing. So I think it was a great program. Also wanted to look at maybe putting a little more structure to it moving forward for next year. Maybe doing some maybe introductions or have some kind of more structure to it for the kids when they come in. So none of that was a great program. Also, the Ocoee Youth Council, they visited the Florida League of Cities this weekend. It was a great program for them. They were able to meet other teams and other youth councils throughout the state of Florida. I think they exchanged phone numbers with a lot of them, made a lot of good contacts, and they also learned a lot. Our youth council administrator, she actually attended several workshops throughout the day. I was there, and there was a lot of good information passed along. And I think as we move forward, you'll start to hear more about what they're doing and recommendations that they'll have for this commission.
All right, thank you, Commissioner. Dorcas is not here tonight, right? All right, announcements. The information on the budget hearing can be found on the city's website and on Ocoee TV. As a reminder, the city's first budget public hearing, is being held Wednesday, September the 11th. Final budget, public hearing is scheduled for Wednesday, September the 25th. All meetings will begin at 6 p.m. here in City Hall. City Hall is closed on Monday, September the 2nd, in observance of Labor Day, and the City Commission meeting scheduled for Tuesday, September 3rd, has been canceled. The Code Enforcement Board currently has vacancies for 1 regular member seat and 2 alternate member seats. This board meets the 4th Tuesday of every month at 7 p.m. If interested in being appointed to the Code Enforcement Board, please go to the city's website to download the application for submittal or contact the city clerk's department for more information. This is for the commissioners. The next upcoming CRA meeting is scheduled before the city commission meeting on September the 17th, starting at 5 p.m. Currently, 3 members are unable to attend. Attendance of 4 members to meet a quorum is required. Should any members have conflicts with this meeting date, please notify staff. That would mean quick, right? Yep.
Yes.
So if anybody has a problem with September the 17th, you need to let Melody or Ginger, Assistant Director, Ginger Corliss, know. All right? All right, one more item here. All right, we changed back the public comments to a couple different ways. The public is allowed to comment on any items that are on the agenda, but not part of a public hearing. If it's a public hearing, then when it comes up, I open the public hearing, then we discuss it during that. Public hearings comments are to be heard during that portion of the meeting. Any comments you would like to make that are not part of the agenda will be heard under the citizens' public comments at the end of the meeting. And I have 2 of those tonight, so we'll bring those up at the very end of the meeting. All right. All right, consent agenda. Any discussions on the consent agenda?
I do. Let's see here.
Commissioners?
I have a on
If not, I
items-
need a motion. All right.
I have an item 6.
All right, Finance Director, she back in the back? All right, what we'll do is, do you want to pull that and we'll discuss it?
Yes.
All right, anything else, any more? If not, can we go ahead and get a motion for the rest of them?
I have a few items that I'd like to pull.
Huh?
I have a few items I'd like to pull as well.
All right, which one?
Item number 8 and item number 10.
All right, 6, 8, 10. All right. We'll start, all right, the rest of them, anybody, all right, we'll do 1, wait a minute, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 7, 9. And I need a motion for those.
I make a motion.
Motion made by Commissioner Oliver, there's a second.
Second.
Seconded by Commissioner Forster. Any more comments? If not, let's vote. Motion carries unanimously. Now I need item 6, Finance Director, Ms. Roberts. Would you come down, please?
Mayor, you just need an explanation on that item?
Well, yeah, it's got her, it's got,
We're bringing it together.
okay, get up to the mic where we can hear you. Okay? Whoever wants to explain it's fine.
Yeah.
Commissioner Brenson wants to,
Yes, I'm sorry. Just to be clear, we have 2 new vehicles coming in,
Oh,
and
I don't, maybe that's.
is that a different item?
Number 6.
number
I'm on
6.
6.
6 is about the transfer of money to buy the slide-out trays for our
No,
fire.
no.
Oh,
No, 6 is
That's about
6 is
Florida Star.
approval of resolution authorizing the revision of the interlocal agreement and trust instrument for the Florida Short-Term Asset Reserve.
Okay, I apologize, that is me. I had a different printout here.
Okay.
So, questions?
Yep. I have a
Commissioner
question.
Brenson.
This is on the investment of funds in Florida Star.
Yes, sir.
The city has a representative for that. Does the city have representatives for this organization? Who represents the city on that?
I do, sir.
Okay, now, I see in there that there's, yourself, I guess, it's expiring 2019, September? Is that right? Is that what I read?
No, my position with the board will expire in 2020. Is that what you're asking?
Well, I have Rebecca Roberts and Otavia Connor. Rebecca's expiring in 2019, and Connor is expiring in 2020. That's what I read.
I'll have to double check that, sir, and correct that. My position should be expiring in 2020, and hers should expire in 2021. We were just appointed this summer. My term's 1 year.
Okay. That's all I had. That was it.
Thank
That's
you.
it?
Yep.
All right, let's go to number 8. No, all right, wait a minute. You want to vote on that first? All right, we'll vote on number 6. Do I hear a motion?
I make a motion that we accept item number 6.
All right, motion made by Commissioner Brinson. We accept item 6. Do I hear a second?
Second?
Seconded by Commissioner Wilson. Any more questions? If not, let's vote. All right, now we'll go to item 8. Police Chief Brown, come down.
No, number 8 is actually the approval of the third-party agreement amendment to agree for the city for citywide towing, and it was the car store as well as Slides Towing to contract with the city to be able to tow cars, which that's fine. I understand it's needed. Again, we have accidents and cars need to be towed off the road. I understand that part. One question I do have is, if a car gets towed for traffic violation or just get towed by any one of these companies, would a person that their car is being towed, would they be able to get their car on a weekend? Let's say if my car gets towed on a Friday, will I be able to go there without paying any extra money, get my car on a Saturday or a Sunday? Or would I have to wait till that Monday to get it?
So right now, we're asking for an extension because we put this back out for proposal. One of the items that we could put in there is make sure they have weekend contact, which I believe they do under our contract. They have a weekend system, but we're only asking for an extension. We're going to come back to you after this extension, or hopefully before the extension, to make sure that you get everything you want in the proposal. So
Okay.
This is just temporary. This is an extension so we can get you a new proposal that we're putting out to all tow companies.
How long is this extension? For 6 months?
Yes.
Is it a 6-month extension?
3 months.
It's a
'cause
3-month extension.
we had already extended it 1 year. We weren't able to make that deadline. We asked for another 3 months just so we can get all the information we need to request the other tow trucks. Any tow truck can bid on this, and as long as they qualify, they can be a part of the rotation.
According to this, it says the 6-month extension is set to expire on August 28th, 2019.
That was
Is it
the
a 6
original
month or 3
one.
month?
That was the original one. Now we're asking for another one.
Another 3 months?
Right.
Okay, well, that's not a problem. Again, one of the things that I would like to see in that agreement is I know that right now, under the current contract,
Yes.
as I read it, that there's an extra $75 fee that a person would have to pay to get their car on a Saturday or Sunday.
Okay.
And that's dictated by the municipality, not the county or the state.
Correct.
So if I would like to see, what I would like to see is a person, if their car gets towed and they want to get their car on a Saturday or Sunday, they're not paying any additional fees to get it.
That's good that you put that out because we have not put the proposals out yet, so we'll add that to it, that'll be one of the requirements.
Okay.
Okay?
Thanks, Chief.
Yep.
All right. Now we need a motion. Anybody else want to discuss that? If not, we'll need a motion to approve that.
I make a motion to approve item number 8 on the consent agenda.
Motion made by Commissioner Oliver. Do I hear a second?
Second.
Second by Commissioner Wilson. Any more comments? If not, let's vote. All right. Number 10.
Oh, sorry,
What?
it didn't show up, Mayor.
It didn't show up? All right, let's vote again. Got somebody blow the fuse. There you go. Brinson, get your, there.
Commissioner Butler?
There you go. All right. Motion carries unanimously. All right. Item 10. I'm gonna let Public Works Director Krug and Assistant City Manager Shatrick will be discussing this. All right. Who pulled that one? You did?
Yeah.
All right.
Actually, this is just a quick question about item number 10 as it relates to item number 11. Is there any correlation between item number 10 on the consent agenda versus the item number 11 on the regular agenda? They just seem to be pretty similar, so I'm just trying to distinguish the difference between the two.
They are separate. One is right now for addressing our commercial franchise. We had awarded it 5 years ago. We have the option to extend it an additional 2 years. The vendor has been doing a fantastic job. We see no reason to not extend it and go out for more solicitation just for the sake of doing that. So that's what we're asking for. Now, we're also going to address some additional issues that could relate to franchising residential solid waste in number 11.
Okay.
These are separate.
That's it, thank you. I make a motion that we approve item number 10 on the consent agenda.
Motion made to approve item 10 by Commissioner Oliver. Do I hear a second?
Second.
Seconded by Commissioner Fershner. No more comments, let's vote. Motion carries unanimously. All right, public hearing tonight, none. First reading, none. Of ordinances, second reading of ordinance, none. Regular agenda, selection of residential solid waste service level for fiscal year 2019, 2020. That'll be Public Works Director Krug and, I guess the city manager will be in on that too, right? Okay.
Here to serve.
Mayor, Commissioners, at the last, when we had the budget workshop, we presented some options for the solid waste program, and you asked us to come back with some additional options. Tonight, I need to ask you to determine a service rate for going forward as we approach the budget. We also must certify the tax roll by the 15th to put it on a non-ad valorem taxes. And since the first meeting in September was canceled, we plan on doing this during a special meeting on the September 11th budget hearing. And that'll give you guys a chance to certify the tax roll. Otherwise, the changes won't be able to go into effect until 2021. Looking at what we had presented before, if we keep the options in-house to provide service, we're looking at 2 garbage collections, a yard waste, and 1 bulk collection per week. The difference that we were looking at for the service levels were what to do with the recycling. If we maintain the current recycling of every other week, the cost internally, we're looking at almost $290 a year. Right now, our rate has been $252 a year since 2008, and that's been 11 years. We've been really fortunate to be able to maintain the pricing with the increases we've experienced. The second option is to have a central drop location at Public Works where you could bring your recycling. We wouldn't provide curbside service anymore. Still requires an increase of up to around $285 a year. The third option we have internally is to totally suspend recycling, but we still need to make up the costs of our labor increases and the tipping fee increases over the past 11 years, which would still bump us up to over $270 a year. And an additional, if you select any of these rates, we also would be looking to request an annual increase of 1.5% to address moving forward so we don't have to keep bumping up every year. We would have it planned and bring it back to you every year for an automatic increase when we certified the tax roll. And I'll have these summarized at the end too, once we go through the other options you asked me to investigate. We talked about contracted service. We have had plenty of discussions along with our commercial franchisee, Waste Connections. We approached them, talked to some other people, but they were the most responsive. In talking with them, they thought the most economical price for them to provide the service would be to maintain the current service, which is 2 garbage pickups a week, 1 yard waste, 1 bulk pickup, along with recycling every other week, maintaining what we're currently providing the citizens. They would provide a full-time service rep in the city. They would have a part-time supervisor. The Public Works team would take calls and relay the calls to the public, the service representative. Public Works would still take the lead as the liaison for customer service as far as taking calls. But the roving service rep would handle any late collections, carts not put out, carts that need repair, cart replacements, new cart deliveries, and any other customer service related issues. The franchisee's cost per home is $20.15 per month. We're currently at 21. However, the city, we have certain costs that we have internally to manage this. Currently, we charge our own system because of all the payroll, the billing, that covers everything from buying carts, buying supplies, maintenance on the trucks. We charge ourselves a 13.9% administration fee. We also have a 12% fee for our stormwater system, a 12% fee for some of the utilities. With this contracted out, we could do it with a 9% fee, and that would bring the total, we would need to bring the total from $21 a month to $22, which is $264 per year, or a 4.8% increase. The vendor has requested if we do this, to do a 7-year contract, which makes sense because there's trucks and equipment that has to be amortized and depreciated over a certain amount of time, and 7 years makes those numbers work. They've also requested, similar to what we would need, is an annual increase of 1.4% over each year of the contract.
Hunter, I asked you a question.
Sure,
Before you go on. Under that part, the cost of the trucks, can you give us that amount?
I don't have that, like, we're buying 2 new trucks this year. They are around $600,000. They would also purchase one of the, as we'll go, it shows later in the slide, basically they would buy any useful trucks we still have. Some,
Okay.
they wouldn't, of course, buy anything we're ready to surplus, but anything that wouldn't meet their needs, we would surplus
Okay,
in that way.
Is that $600,000 a piece or together?
600,000.
It's about $320,000 a piece. Legal and staff, we've looked at the franchise agreements. It gives the commission the option to add the residential to an existing franchisee, which in this case is the commercial franchise. We have looked at the what the ordinance is all saying, it allows that. And from a standpoint of the most simplified way of implementing this, if we look to go contractually, we would recommend using the existing franchisee, mainly because it would save a lot of time. We wouldn't have to advertise for our request for qualifications. It's already been bid on qualifications. That's how they got the contract originally. Their service is excellent. And we would also save time. We'd be able to implement the program much earlier, maybe say January 1st, as opposed to this time next year, going private. It would help streamline the event.
And who is that, Waste Connections?
That's Waste Connections
Okay.
is our current vendor.
That's these.
Now, what will be affected is we have 14 positions currently in Public Works that would have to be reassigned or something new. Of those 14 positions, I only have 11 filled right now. So it isn't a full 14 people that would be. We would definitely offer people any positions within the city departments, similar like the city has done before when positions have been done away with. The vendor also, contractor, they need people that know the routes, and all of our drivers are certified. We know they pass any test they have because of the physical and drug tests, they already passed the requirements for us.
Pay scale same?
They would probably be making more money.
Oh, okay.
And like we talked earlier, the franchisee would purchase usable equipment from our current fleet. And anything that they didn't want to purchase because it didn't fit their model, we would surplus. Whoops. All right, so our service options summary, as we go down, if we maintain it in-house, we have the current service. If we do what we're doing right now, we need at least $289.50 a year. If we do the central drop location, we still need to increase up to $284. If we suspend the recycling completely, we're looking at $272 per year per household. Realize the current rate is $252. And if we do contract service, we're looking at $264 per year. What I'm looking, which would be a $1 increase. And I'm looking for direction on which way you would prefer us to proceed.
Is that, you done?
Yes.
All right. Excuse me. I think we'll start with any commissioners up. Commissioner Alder?
Yeah, looking at the contracted service option, and you mentioned those 14 positions total to be filled. Is this simply a request that we're putting in a contract, or this is something that the intended contractor has already stated that they're willing to absorb 11 of the 14?
They are willing to absorb some of them. They feel they can do it a little bit leaner. We have one person, really there would be looking for 10 potential people with 3 vacant positions. I have one of the drivers who has been slated to take an equipment operator position within stormwater, but I can't let him take that position until I backfill his current position because of the service.
Let me make one quick comment. I think the commercial vendor's here, so I'd like them to come up here also at the podium and introduce themselves. Then when we ask the questions, if you want to ask them to them or Steve, you can.
Okay.
So they are here. Introduce yourself and tell where you're at. Where you from?
Hey, thank you for letting me speak. I'm Pat Razut, the District Manager for Central Florida for Waste Connections. And exactly what Steve said, we certainly, even on selfish level, all the drivers already know the routes. So we really want to do everything we can to bring them on board with us. And we'd absolutely do that.
Okay.
Assuming, again, background checks and other stuff,
So the three that we don't have any positions for, they would be offered positions within the city? Or
The three I have vacancies. I'm trying to fill 3 open positions right now.
But no guarantees right now?
Correct. I'm trying to get, depending on how the commission directs us going forward, is whether I'm going to go interview some people in the next couple of weeks.
How soon would you have any information for those 3 positions, or as far as knowing that they will be secure in their positions if we decide to go through this contracted service option?
I'm not sure if I'm following.
Commissioner-
Well, I'm just trying to figure out, of these 3 people, I know you're trying to backfill.
They wouldn't fill the positions
These
if
are
we're gonna
these are
contract it
vacant
out.
positions.
The vacant positions?
They're
Okay.
vacant positions. I'm
Okay,
sorry.
gotcha.
We haven't filled them.
Okay.
But the pay is more, you think, than what, I guess I don't even know what
And
they make
it
starting.
depends. We've had some people that have been
Yeah.
working for the city 25 years. It would probably be a pay cut because they've enjoyed the benefits of having the yearly increases and they've topped out on their salary. That, we'll just have to see.
Okay.
Are there any clauses in this contract that, let's just say we go into a contract like this, and let's just say a year down the road, we don't like the service. Is there any clause in this contract that allows us to opt out of this contract? Say, hey, look, we're gonna terminate this contract and go in another direction, if we have to, if that happens?
Well, every contract we do has termination for cause, but we're not looking to go into this on the short term. We were looking from a customer service aspect. We could always put in there, I know other contracts have penalties for customer service misses and things like that. One of the things we like about Waste Connection while we're bringing this proposal to you is from what we've researched, they have one of the lowest rates of getting penalized in their contracts that they have with some of the municipalities.
Have we had any relationship with Connection Pro in the past?
As far
And if so,
as,
what would that relationship have been?
they have been providing the commercial
They did all the
solid
commercial
waste
service.
program for over 5 years, and they are also one of the consistent vendors that have stuck with the city for the residential, commercial, or construction and demolition debris.
So we've had a pretty good relationship with them for the past 5 years, in your
I would
opinion?
say yes. They've been the best contractor we have had since in the past 13 years I've been here. They have made my life a lot easier for the management of this contract. And and it all comes, what it boils down to is the people that were always the chronic complainers on the commercial side, when Waste Connections took over, we're not hearing it. And it's not that they're ignoring them or anything. They're servicing them and meeting their needs.
Okay, thank you.
One thing I forgot to do it, I apologize. We have 2 letters here. One's from the city of Groveland, city manager recommendation, and one's from the town of Eatonville for the utility billing specialist. I'll make sure these are put in the record for recommending these gentlemen. All right, Commissioner Forstner?
If we go with the contracted service and we're not happy with it after the contract term is over, it would really not be feasible for us to start it up again in-house, would it? It would be more feasible to seek out another contract with another private company.
It could be either way. I mean, we brought it back in-house just before I got here, something similar. It just depends on the market. Right now, I'm bringing this to you because there's a less expensive option that I think can meet our needs and still be just as customer service oriented. I'm proud of the team we built. You know, it's kind of a double-edged sword here. Promoting doing away with part of our team, but there's also the side, I need to present this to you from a cost standpoint of, here's an option.
Exactly. And I have no problem with that. I'm just trying to conceptualize this. It would be a tremendous capital outlay on our part to get back into the business, correct?
It could be, depending on, yeah, it just all depends on the service things at that time. The costs are going up, we know that. It's, to be green is very expensive. And it's tough on a city of our size. We're spreading this over 13,000 homes. There's certain things we don't have the magnitude that a billion-dollar company does.
And I think I saw that the contracted service option would continue the recycling program that we have now?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. All right, Commissioner Wilson.
Yes. I think I made it clear in the last meeting that I'm probably not interested in privatizing it. Been there before. I think that Commissioner Oliver was there at the same time. I don't know about anyone else, but it was not a situation that I want to relive.
I was.
You were here too. It was a terrible situation. I think that shame on us. We are being reactive and not proactive. We haven't raised these rates since, is it, how many years?
2008.
2008, so we're talking 11 years. So now we come to a situation that we have to do something because we don't want to raise our rates of our customers. And I'm more interested in service. I'm more interested in 11 employees that we've had. I'm looking at, we're not collecting recycling at this point. It's being thrown away, correct? For the most part?
We pick up recycling, but it's too contaminated.
We pick it up, so it's not, okay.
It's going to the landfill.
So we're looking at $8.28 by dropping down to the lowest service, which is no recycling, to what you are projecting with a private hauler. That would be $272.28 from $264, which, if my math is correct, it's $8.28.
However, I will let Pat address the recycling. They have an option that may be better to actually handle recycling.
Yeah, so we actually have a material recovery facility that we actually can take it and recover the material. So you actually are truly recycling when we do it. The other thing is the disposal that we currently do, we all take it in-house to our own landfills. One of the things that may or may not increase at an exponential level, you guys are kind of beholden to Orange County and their landfill. They just built a $15 million transfer station that we kind of think their rates will end up going up at the Orange County landfill. When you go with us, you don't have to worry about that. The price per home always stays the price per home, whereas you guys are currently paying your disposal directly.
Well, I think I'm personally willing to deal with that, because I am not interested in privatizing, so probably whatever I say, I think you realize where my vote will go.
Sure, absolutely.
I'm more interested in the service that our customers, our residents, my residents are receiving, and what they're happy with. And I don't get any complaints from any of my residents regarding their sanitation services
I
compared
got
to.
one today, Commissioner.
Well, they didn't call me.
I know, they called me.
Maybe they weren't in my district.
One last week, too.
Were they in my district?
I can't remember the address, but I got
Okay, well.
two, one last week, one this week.
I'm just gonna say that at this point, I'm not interested in privatizing. I wanna keep it in-house.
Okay.
And I think for the point of $8.28, if we looked at what we should have been increasing maybe every couple of years to our residents, we would not be in this position.
All right, Commissioner Branson.
Wow. Okay, yeah, I'm kind of stuck in the middle of everyone who said something. Because I'm also customer service oriented. I want whatever service we provide, whether it's in-house or we farm it out, to be transparent to the customer. And it's unfortunate, but it's also fortunate that yesterday we had an issue with trash pickup in not only my district, but in my community. However, the city was able to loop back around today and pick it up. That's the type of service I think that having it in-house we can do. Sure. Is that something that you guys provide at Waste Connection as well?
Sure. So I would relate that to the Lake County contract. So we do roughly 25,000 homes in Lake County in Zone 2. And we are the lowest fined company. In fact, last year, One company was fined $400,000, one company was fined $60,000, and we were fined $500 for the entire year. So basically, we're in the zone anyway, we're in the marketplace. If you get a call at noon that somebody, even if it's a late setup, we just go back and pick it up. I mean, that's not a big deal for us. We're here anyway, and kind of the way we've laid it out, we'll have a supervisor in this marketplace that is able to go and pick up trash. Now, will there be misses? Sure. But it's like you said, Commissioner, how do you recover those misses? We did a very similar project for the city of Hialeah about 3 years ago. They did a 55,000 home privatization. I'll have that letter for you by tomorrow. And we phased that into a couple different stages. So they, had the same concerns. They were really worried about service and customer service, and we were able to provide that for them. And also, too, one of the things that we do is also the economies of scale, right? We know we live in Florida. There's a lot of hurricanes, right? If there's a hurricane coming tomorrow, my company is going to ship 20 to 30 trucks here to make sure that we pick up your trash. And that's what you get with us. We have stuff all over. We have over 500 routes just in Central Florida.
Yeah, and that's kind of my point. Again, customer service, transparent, because, and I've said this before, they're not going to call you. They're going to call me.
Right.
And then I'm going to call somebody else. Then they're going to call you.
Right.
And again, and I think the mayor mentioned it, we had some calls and emails about that. And I just want to be able to be confident that whatever solution we go with is the right solution for the community.
Sure. And of course, Commissioner, that's a great point too. I mean, I have given my card out to many residents in Lake County and let them know, if you have an issue, you call me directly and we'll go pick you up. And for us to do that, we have a local presence. We don't have a call center in Atlanta. They're here in the marketplace. You call somebody here whenever there's an issue, including myself.
And I would like to say, one of the things, the difference between what we're looking at here versus before, there wasn't a full-time customer service rep assigned to the city. I do know that but when I got here, the team mentality at the Public Works team wasn't as customer-friendly, and I think they deferred a lot of it. Our goal is not just to throw everything off to Waste Connections for any calls. Our goal is to take the call and handle the call, not just defer it to them. We will definitely send it down the line, but we want the residents' calls because we need to know if things aren't working.
One last question is a small item, but somewhat important. If my wheel comes off my bin, whose responsibility is it to put a wheel back on my bin?
Again, we'll have a full-time person that will come out.
Okay, so it's separate from the driver?
Yes,
Yeah.
it will be the customer service rep.
Okay.
So, sometimes I will say this too, Commissioner. Sometimes our drivers do have wheels in the truck. So if he sees that he popped one off, he's going to get out and just bang it back in.
Okay.
For sure.
Thank you.
All right, I said Commissioner Oliver said he'd volunteer.
And I do,
All right, a couple of things. I was here a long time ago when we had a lot of different things and trying things. One of the main reasons we do that is, one of the things our responsibility is up here, I don't care if it's $1. We're here to save money for the citizens. It all comes down to what we can do, and it's all citizens matter in the city. It's all matters for what we can. We're trying to lower the rates of everything in this city. We're getting more money into the city under ad valorem. We're getting more money in through the business economic development. So I have no problem looking at it, because what happened back then was a separate incident I think it was 13 years ago. And that was something it was a bad deal, but it's something that happened. It's like buying a bad car. We got rid of it. We did get rid of it. And we went back. But here's the deal. If it saves money and you can do the recycling, I will get rid of the complaints about recycling. That's a big thing we're getting. And also, we tried to cut the tax base. We've cut the tax base for the last 3 years, down from 5.95 something down to it's going to be 5.2 something, I hope. So we're trying to do that, but it's all about saving money for citizens. And it is, you have to be up here to come up with the figures that you think that'll make it work. Don't negatively think we're going to go bad to start with. I'm looking at a positive attitude because what you've done with the commercial. We had a lot of problem with commercial before you got here. And I know Steve knows this too. We don't have that anymore. We don't get calls. I have not got one call on commercial, but I do get calls on the residential. But that's probably what's gonna happen anyway. I went by a place today on Orlando Avenue across from the firehouse, and they had picked up the yard trash, but there was still a pile of trash there. So I know that person's gonna call me. I haven't been home yet to get to it, but I know that's gonna call, because it's all over the yard and the sidewalk. But the whole point comes down to is what we do for citizens is try to save money. It might be $1, but $1 to some people, somebody used to say a penny saved is a penny gained, I guess. I don't know, was that what they said? Yeah. So here's the deal. Look at the positive aspects of what you have done. I read the 2 letters that I put into the public record, and I don't want to do it. Oh, put them under here. One's from Groveland, and one's from Edenville, and you probably got more. And they are saying that you're doing a great job. I think you probably service way more than we do. So I have no problem trying to help the citizens lower their taxes, whether it be $2 a month or whether it be $100 a month. I want to make sure that we can lower it. And I think what happened 13 years ago is an anomaly that won't happen again, not with the service you got and what I hear from all the people, at the thing. So I don't have a problem with it. I would have a problem if we didn't give the employees jobs. And I will say again, I don't know how many of you are here, we took our fire department and police department out of our city employees for the communications and put them into a private communications deal. Those employees, some of them come to work with us, some of them went to work with them. So it is places for them to go, and they're probably making more money than what they make with us. Now, the ones that I say that you say we got 25 years or more, I'd like to see us, anybody that's those kind of years, we put them into other jobs if there's in the city, make sure they get in. But I don't have a problem with it. So, is this an item we got to vote on?
I have a question.
Okay.
Looking at the 4 options up there, it seems that we're only talking about 2 of them. We're talking about maintaining our current services, which is option number 1, and then we're talking about contract services is option number 4. Option number 3 may be a rider with option number 1. So it seems that we can eliminate option number 2. Am I correct in stating that, or I could be wrong? Can we just eliminate option number 2?
Is that?
You could, for example, option 1 and option 4 are the same service levels. Option 1 is.
Just different costs.
Correct, is whether we do in-house number 1, number 4 is contract.
I'm just trying to make this less complicated, because
Yeah.
again, can we just eliminate option number 2? Do we have a consensus on that?
Yeah, we're not going to do that, are we?
I don't,
Anybody else
I have
anybody have a problem with dropping that?
no interest in
All
that.
right, that's
Okay, all right, so now we have 1, 3, and 4.
Now, we don't want to do number 3, because they will, if they get it, they're going to do the recycling. And that's where I have more people, there's more action on Facebook, rant and raves about recycling than there is anything.
Absolutely.
I mean, whew. But what they're saying is they're gonna take the recycling where we don't have to, we take it to the, and we're talking about getting rid of it, that's what that is, isn't it? Craig, isn't that what that number 3 is?
Item number 3 would do away with recycling
Yeah,
entirely.
that would be a killer. Your wife recycle?
I don't know, do you recycle? I don't know.
See there, we know you don't.
I think the
But you know what?
appropriate question is, do you recycle?
Do I recycle?
We
The thing
depend on
about
our
it
family
is,
members to recycle, not
I
on the
used
one
to
person in the
recycle
house.
until I got an education on trash and what happens with our recycling right now.
Yeah.
And I'm like, well, why, if I don't know, if I'm not educated on how to do this properly, then things that I think I'm recycling is not recyclable anymore.
Yeah. And
So I'm defeating the
Yeah.
purpose of recycling.
And the other thing I was gonna say, the positive thing is we don't have to spend that $600,000, 300 something per truck. Plus, we can sell the ones we got, or hang on to one of them for just to have. Yeah.
I'd like to make the comment up here that I never like to think that it's one member's responsibility to recycle, as just because you asked your wife, the female in the house. In my house, it's everyone's responsibility to recycle. So let's give everyone equal opportunity.
Duly noted.
Thank you.
All right, so is this, Craig, inform us what we gotta do?
You need to make a decision tonight, because the tax roll, as Steve said, needs to be certified by September 15th. So in order to meet that, since we've canceled the day after Labor Day meeting,
Is the
we will need to make a decision tonight, and then we will have a special meeting on September 11th, which will be the night we have our tentative budget public hearing, the first public hearing on the budget. So we need a decision tonight from the commission.
There was something I was gonna ask you about.
Explain that again about the 11th?
That will,
Okay.
The 11th is the budget hearing.
yeah, I realize that, but what?
All of these options that have been presented will impact the non-ad valorem assessment for sanitation. We have to certify the tax roll that says how much we intend to collect pursuant to state law, and the property appraiser has to have the certified roll on or before September 15th in order for them to assess the early notices.
I have one more thing I
So,
want to ask you.
to be able to meet that deadline, we're going to need to have a special meeting. Otherwise, if you don't, you're going to be looking at putting a rate increase in place in October 2020,
And
or October 1st, 2021.
one other question,
No, 2020.
caveat tied to the contract of making sure it's a contract that states if it's bad service, that the service is done. But I know that was in the other, for calls, for calls, but that was in the other contracts we had, and we did get rid of them. But, I was thinking about the gentleman that's not here tonight, Mr. Atkins. He's talking about the dollars we spend on every dollar, about doing it for people that can't afford it, which is some of the things that, like in the areas where the houses are not as much. But it's, like I said, I'm for saving a dollar for anybody. I don't care if it's for all citizens, where we can cut the cost of money down. Because everything seems, power bill, I wished I could cut it down for you, but, can't. But, all right,
It'll be a special
Commissioner,
meeting.
we'd have to have a motion.
Was this a 4% increase annually with contracted services?
We were looking to do a 1.4%.
A 1.4%
Yes, is
increase
what they
annually? Okay, over 7 years, right?
Yes, every year it would increase 1.4%.
Is there, all right, so anybody want to make a motion or anything, so I can't make a motion. So.
I'll make a motion to accept number 4, option number 4, the contract services for $22 monthly, $264 per year, and which represents a 4.8% increase.
All right, do I hear a second?
I'll second it.
Second by Commissioner Brinson. All right, motion made by Commissioner Forstner, seconded by Commissioner Brinson for item 4. You put that back up there, everybody can read it.
I'm not sure.
We're having technical difficulty.
I'm sorry.
Apparently
Can you read it off?
the
I'm gonna let
chair
the legal
updated.
officer read it out.
This would be
Everybody,
a motion to privatize the residential solid waste with the existing franchisee for, I don't have the figures in front of me, Steve, $264?
Yes.
$264 per year, which is $22 per month, which represents a 4.8% increase. That would also include a 1.4% annual increase to that contract.
all right. Motion's been made and seconded. All right, any more comments? All right, let's vote. Motion carries with Commissioner Wilson voting no and the others voting yes. All right, so you can do what we gotta do, Craig. I would like to make sure all our employees have a chance, as long as they can pass their stuff and do all that.
Absolutely.
And especially the ones that have been here over a certain number of years like that, you need to find them a place here.
We have some positions within
Okay,
Public
all right.
Works.
All righty,
Thank you, Commissioner.
thank you.
Thank you so much,
Thank you
Commissioner.
very much.
Thank you.
All right. Staff items.
Nothing further.
Did I start with you first? Yeah, I did.
Yeah.
Commissioner Brinson.
Did we do both 10 and 11 just then?
We already voted on 10 was in the consent agenda.
Okay. And this is,
We just did 11.
okay, good. All right.
Now it's your turn to talk.
Now it's my turn to talk. Okay, went out to the Florida League of Cities this past weekend, starting, I think, Thursday. Had a wonderful time, learned a lot, had a lot of conversations out there. One of the conversations I had with various leaders from other municipalities, to include commissioners, vice mayors, and mayors, was their compensation. And then I looked into our compensation, and it was something that I was a little taken aback by, and I would urge the commission to take a look at the salaries for the commission,
We did that.
because currently our income or salary was it was stated,
Yeah.
it was in 1996, and then in 1998 it was actually executed, and it's not been addressed since then. And I don't know if any other commissioner or the deputy city manager will have any comments on that.
All right, real quick, I'm gonna let him comment on that, that I made a mistake. I'll blame it on the lawyer. We've changed the public, the public announcement thing, so I've gotta go back to that. After Commissioner Brenson's done, we're gonna go to the public. I apologize. We're gonna go back
We
to
should
the
have went to
public.
the public before.
Yeah,
Commission,
before he
can-
speaks.
Can we step back one?
Huh?
Go to the public?
That's what I'm fixing to do.
Oh.
But I want him to answer Commissioner Brenson,
All right, can you rephrase your question? I'm sorry, I was,
because
Yeah, as far as the salaries for the commission, addressing that issue of 1996, 1998 execution.
specifically, the city commission, I'm going to just give you a brief overview. The city commission has 3 different forms of compensation currently. The first form of compensation is the annual salary, which is determined by ordinance number 96-23. Okay, and that was done in 96. In our research, we could not find or determine a formula. I did reach out to the city attorney and ask him to contact the previous city attorney to see if he had any historic background on how those numbers were set. But for the actual salary that's set by that ordinance, the mayor receives an annual salary of $4,500, and the city commission receives an annual salary of $3,900. Okay, so that's the first form of compensation. Now, there are 2 others. The second one is a stipend, which is put in place to offset local travel expenditures, not to be confused with your travel budget that's used for out-of-town travel. That stipend is set forth and governed by Resolution 2001-13 as amended by Resolution 2002-21. Okay, a change to the stipend may be done by resolution as opposed to an ordinance, which is what the salary is. So let me come back to that. The stipend per month for the mayor is $400 and for the commission is $325. So if you look at the total monetary compensation for the mayor and commission on an annual basis, the mayor receives $9,300 in monetary compensation annually, and the city commission receives $7,900 in monetary compensation annually. And the third benefit that is received by the commission and the mayor is medical benefits are offered. And there is a estimated money value of $5,592 for individual coverage and $15,480 annually for family coverage. And that's not including.
Say that again real slow.
Okay. The mayor and city commission is eligible to receive medical benefits of an estimated $5,592 annually for individual coverage and $15,480 annually for family medical coverage. And that does not include the value that could be estimated based on use of our employee clinic and our medical medication dispensary associated with the clinic. That's not included in that. So backing up to the salary, I was asked by one of you to research this today. The salary itself has to be set by ordinance. And based on the city's charter, an increase to the annual salary, not the stipend, but the salary, would not become effective until the date of commencement of the terms of members of the city commission elected at the next regular city election, provided that such election is at least 6 months following the adoption of the ordinance. So the next election is March of 2021. So therefore, the earliest a salary adjustment or effective date of an ordinance would be, the earliest it could be effective would be, I'm sorry.
2021.
Would be March of 2021, and the ordinance would need to be adopted prior to mid-September of 2020, okay? The stipend, again, is another form of monetary compensation that can be amended by resolution, and that could be placed on a consent agenda. And that's all I have to say at this time.
All right, so that was brought into effect in what year, 2001? Or when? When was that brought in, the
The
stipend?
resolution was 2001
Okay,
for the stipend.
okay.
The salary compensation package was 1996.
All right, we'll come back to it in a minute. I apologize, Commissioner Brinson. Okay, we'll come back to it in a minute. First of all, I want to introduce, I apologize, Senator Bracy. Would you stand up? Senator Bracy is here, our state senator tonight. We appreciate him coming out. So, you want to say anything? Would you like to speak real quick? I'll give you 30 seconds. No, I'll give you 3. You sure? Yeah, come on. I apologize. You sitting back there being so quiet, I didn't even see you. I forgot.
No, you good. It's, thank you for allowing me to speak. It's interesting to hear these issues being talked about. Personally, I think you all need a raise, but that's just my personal opinion. I wanted to talk about the Ocoee massacre. Some of you may have noticed I filed a compensation bill, and what I wanted to do was to have an event to commemorate the life of July Perry and those who were killed in the Ocoee massacre and those who fled. And so I had talked to Commissioner Oliver briefly about it, and I was hoping to speak to the commission about it, to have an annual festival, if you will, to commemorate July Perry. And so if that can be discussed, you know, he was killed on November 2nd. We're coming up on the 100th year anniversary of the lynching of July Perry, and so I thought it was fitting to have a festival in his honor, an annual festival in his honor to commemorate July Perry. And so I just wanted to bring that to the attention of the commission and to get your feedback, and I'll just leave it there for right now.
What I would say is we're doing that. We're doing that in 2020 for the 100th year.
Yeah.
The Human Diversity Board is the one that does that. We let them handle it. We work through it, then they bring it to us and we vote on it. But they are setting up the plans now. The cities also, I think, have ordered the big sign, the plaque through the state, matter of fact. So we're doing that, and the Diversity Board is working on that with a committee now to do that project. Now, after that, they can set up a yearly, we talked about that and I was there at one night, they talked about having a yearly festival or a thing that would come in, and you have an open house where the people come in and they show them and talk about the acts and the things that went on and what's happened since 1920. So they are working on that through the Human Diversity Board. They're working on that, sir. So.
All right, so I have a couple questions. Do you actually want to do a festival starting this year?
I did. I
Okay.
did want to start one this year.
You'll start this year.
Yeah.
So again, through our conversation and what you're trying to accomplish, I commend you on that myself, because again, as everyone up here know, that I am all about honoring the past and I have no qualms about it, about speaking out about it, and I think it's the right thing to do. So I definitely would support that. Now, if the HRDB board wants to do something, that's fine, but if they're not doing something until next year, and you have the means to start something this year, well, I'm for starting something this year and let HRDB catch up and tag on board next year. So I'll lend my support to that, and I feel that we have festivals already. We have our Spring Fling, we have our Founder's Day Festival. I have no, I don't see any reason why we couldn't start anything for, I'm not sure what you're going to call it or not, but this festival in honor of July Perry and the lynchings in Ocoee. I have no qualms with supporting that, publicly supporting that. I think the mayor, you've already even mentioned yourself that if someone else wants to do something else beyond Founder's Day, then so be it, that's fine.
Yeah.
And I think that, I can't speak for anyone but myself right now on this commission, but I will support that.
Well, I wouldn't say tag on, I wouldn't have the Human Diversity Board tag on. They're already been working on it for 2 years, Senator Bracy. They've been working on that for 2 years to do this major thing. They've invited some pretty good, well-known people to come to that festival on the 20th. Now, if you want to have one, it's going to be hard to have it every year when we have the other festival the same week, or not the same week, but the week after or the week before. So that turns into a kind of a problem. So if we just going to have like I said, if you'll go meet with the Human Diversity Board, if you have time, I think you can see what they're doing, and we can work on the whole thing together would come up with something that can do. This, just having it this year without having pre-prior plans, November's here in 2 months. Now, if you want to have a day of recognition on November 2nd, down at the lake or somewhere, that's fine, but I think it's going to be a tough to put a big festival on to try to raise the money, unless you're going to get us the money through the state.
Well, yeah, so I didn't know if there would be any resources committed from the city of Ocoee. If not, that's fine. I was prepared to pay for it, but and because this would be a first annual, the budget wouldn't be that large to bring in, national acts.
Well, what I would say is, let's do that next year. If we all want to think about it, let's do it 2020. That's when the 100-year is. Well, you're shaking your head, but where are you going to get the money to pay for that?
Because every time we want to put something back, I mean, every time we want to delay something, delay
I don't
means
want to
never.
delay it.
Delay
They're
always
working
means
on it.
never.
You're taking away from
We're not taking away from the
Mr.
Human
Oliver,
Diversity
let me
Board.
finish. You've taken away from the Human Diversity Board. I know you're running for senator, so maybe that's going to help in the process. But that's not what we're trying to do. We've set this thing up. Our Human Diversity Board's been working on it for 2 years. You've been to the meetings. They're working on to do this same thing.
Logistically.
So why kick them out from under their feet? They're not trying to delay anything. Well, after that, have it every year.
Yeah, I think we're talking two different issues. Well, I think, Senator Bracy, you're talking about a festival, correct?
I am.
In honor
We'll do that. Will you do it in March?
I think it's fitting that he
We can't do it the same week.
Okay.
You cannot do them the same week or week apart, sir.
Can I ask,
why not?
Can I ask you a question?
Hang on a second. Can I finish my thought
Sure,
before
yeah,
everybody
go ahead.
pile on here? Thank you very much. Okay, Senator Bracy, logistically, do you think you can do this year, in 2019?
I think that it would be a smaller event. What I wanted to do, we have vendors waiting and ready to be a part of this festival, but I wasn't sure if I can get the date. And so I think it can be. I think it's something that would grow over time, but considering that it's a couple months away, it would be the start of an event. It would be on a much smaller scale.
Right, and that's one of the concerns I would have, because if you're going to do something, do it in excellence, if you will. But also, to the mayor's point, there are other things happening around that time of the year, to include Thanksgiving. And so trying to pull all that together is a challenge, but I don't think it's not doable. I think it's doable if you have the proper resources and the reach to get it done. As far as holding it out until 2020, of course, that's always an option because that's a 100-year anniversary. I don't believe in the 100-year anniversary thing. I don't. I believe it needs to be honored when it needs to be honored. And for us to keep kicking that can down the road, because the city of Ocoee has been negligent in recognizing this tragic event until just recently. And so I'm not gonna be holding out for the 100-year anniversary.
No.
However, with that said, if the city is part of this, we want to make sure that it makes sense for the city as well, and all the residents in the city. And so with that said, if it's something that you can do and you can come up with a plan, and I don't know if you're meeting with someone to do this, I mean, I don't think we should make a decision yea or nay this evening, because we don't know what we're looking at moving forward.
What I would ask is, can you raise that money?
Yes, I already have the funds to put
Okay.
on a small festival. I mean, what I talked about with Commissioner Oliver, you know, there's, I know, for example, the Ocoee Founders Festival, there are, you know, police and fire committed to the event and that type of thing. I didn't know if that was a possibility.
Oh, yeah, we have our fire department and people like that can do that, but we also, it costs money overtime for them too. That's why we raise the money to help pay for that. They charge overtime when they work those hours, the fire department and the police. So in respect, just for instance, on Founder's Day, the cost of everything for Founder's Day was $651,000. We paid every bit of that back to the city. The city didn't pay all that money out to start with. It was at the end. The city paid out, let's say, $100,000. We paid back the city $651,000 through funds raised through donations. That's what I'm saying. You gotta go out when you do the festival and raise the money, which we can do it. The police and fire and public works and the garbage people, everybody gets involved, just like they do for Spring Fling.
Commissioner Bracey, can I just ask a question, if you
Sure.
don't mind? I think, you know, our city is rich with history. We need to celebrate it. What are you asking, maybe that's a more question, what are you asking of the city? Because if you're planning this as Senator Bracey, okay, we have to remember it's the week after Founder's Day, where everyone's probably spent, a lot of the employees are, okay? But let's put that aside. What are you asking from us if you're planning this event? That's, I guess, come down to,
That's it.
let us know what you're looking for. That's kind of gives us a background.
That's a good question. So initially, I wasn't planning to involve the city other than, I mean, we were just going to reserve the location, pay the fees. And talking with Commissioner Oliver, I didn't know if there were fees that could be waived for renting the space, for reserving the space. I think that would be pretty much all I would ask. Now, you know, I didn't know how the Ocoee Festival was run. I didn't know if the city of Ocoee wanted to be involved in participating and helping defray more costs than just the $1,400 or so that is required to rent the space here for the event. So if not, I'm prepared to do that, but I didn't know if that was an option, if that was something the city of Ocoee would want to
Just the
do.
1,400? Yeah.
Well, where did you want
I
to,
don't think-
where'd you want to plan it? Did you want to put it here on the lake shore? Or
Yeah,
did you want to
right
go
here
to
at Lake Shore.
a park? I mean,
Well-
were you looking to move it off
Look at the
of?
park outside.
I
I
was,
mean, were you looking for a park that we had, another park? Were you looking for a facility? I mean, I guess I want more information, because like I said, we have planned. I think it would help us to know what direction you're gonna go in, because you mentioned that you would be getting, I guess, did you say national, or, I don't know my views. I don't know the levels, but you
Costs
were-
money.
Yeah, they cost money. Whatever it is, whoever it is that you would be presenting, is it something that you're raising the funds for? Are you only asking us for the venue? If you're asking for funds, you're also looking at a new budget year that we haven't gotten to yet. So again, I'm just looking for something,
Yeah,
what
yeah.
you actually want.
I don't need the funds. I can raise the funds. I didn't know if there was just a waiver for renting, for example, Bill Breeze Park. If you need a plan outline as to where I'd like to have it, actually, the city, my staff has already contacted the city about renting the facilities, and so we were sent a contract, and before I signed it to move forward with the event, I was told that that, for example, Ocoee Festival fees are waived. And so before I signed the contract, I thought, what if I just presented it and maybe those fees could be waived for an event like this? If not, I would go forward.
No,
with
we just said we can waive that fee for that event.
Okay.
But when you're talking about, you just said bringing in national acts.
No.
That don't cost you money.
No, yeah. I mean, I've put on events before. We've raised
Yeah.
a considerable amount
Okay.
of money for. Yeah.
No, that's what I'm saying. No, we can waive. Is the place open? Did you check with staff and see if it's open?
It is on
Okay.
November 2nd.
Yeah,
Is there
so that's,
and again, is there there's nothing on a wedding planned or anything in the Lakeshore Center? Because you wouldn't want to have a venue down here with maybe a wedding being planned in the Lakeshore Center, so,
They
He's
told me
shaking his head
it was.
no.
I was
No,
told it was
Mark?
available.
Mark
not-
is, yeah.
okay.
So, yeah, we can waive the fee. If you come to us and call us and say, we want it for November 2nd right now because it's not anybody in it, we can vote to waive that fee for you.
Okay.
You know?
But I would see a plan. I think I'd like to see the plan
Well,
before we waive,
yeah,
because
but-
we'd like to see what you're going to present, at least, because we get behind whatever, when
Just bring it back,
supporting.
can you bring it back to 17th?
Sure.
17th of September.
Sure.
That way we can waive the fee for the building.
Does that put you back any as far as coming back with a plan? Will you be able to continue to move forward with it? But that's just on the contingency that we're going to approve it. The fees, or does that set you back as far as your time frame is concerned? Having to come back in September?
Sorry.
Well, I don't have a problem
Okay.
waiving it tonight, but if she wants to see plan, it's
Well,
up,
I don't
we'll,
have a
we'll take a vote in a minute.
I don't have
Let
a
everybody
problem.
finish talking, then we'll take a vote.
I don't have a problem with the waiving the fees. I think that I'd like to see later a plan, what you're going to be doing. I mean, sounds wonderful. I mean, it does sound,
Yeah.
again, that's our history.
Yeah.
I just kind of, right now, I'm not getting a real.
Yeah, I mean, just to give you
feeling about
a
what you wanna
quick
do.
overview, it would be just a festival, it would be arts, vendors, something
Yeah.
akin to what the Zora Neale Hurston Festival is, food, music, we'd have a program throughout, we just want it on for one day, so but to answer your question, would it hold us back? Not necessarily. I mean, what I do need to do is get to the vendors to let them know if I'm having it or not. I guess if it's not, if fees aren't waived, then I'm just gonna go forward and pay it and move forward. But
Okay.
so I
All right,
just wanted to.
let's get to that part. First of all, the other thing, all that comes into part is like collecting, when it's done, you've got people you gotta pay to clean it up, because we hire, the labor ready. When we do it, like Founder's Day, we hire labor ready to clean it up, because it's gotta be cleaned up when it's done, not by city people, but you have to hire somebody like, we hire labor ready on Friday night and Saturday to come in and clean it up.
But these are all things that can be put
Yeah,
into
that's,
that
but
contract.
what you're wanting to do is a waiver of just a fee for the building. All right,
The building or the park?
The
What-
park.
Do you
The
want,
park.
do
I
you
wanna
want the
build-
Lakeshore Center, or do you want the park?
I want the park. I don't
Okay,
want
park.
the Lakeshore
Okay.
Center. Yeah,
not the building, but the park.
correct,
All right,
correct. And
park's open, right?
And I just, and with all due respect, I would suggest that, the comment about, I'm running for office and this may be why I'm doing it, I would just suggest that
But
I
I
really.
don't like the,
I would just suggest that I really do believe that more attention needs to be brought to this issue. It's not a political thing for me. It's just something that I believe we need to talk about, and
we go through this, Mr. Senator, it's not just brought up tonight, it's brought up all the time. If you read the papers, it's brought up in the papers. It's not just one time being brought up, and we all know, we're all looking at it, we're all working to get to the point where everybody recognizes what happened and know what happened. Just like I was talking to you a while ago, I wasn't gonna say this, but you brought up that, I'll tell you. Because it's just like everybody throws out numbers, they pull numbers out of the air and throw them out. Like I told you, I read your article, what you're putting out about 50 people. There's no thing that says 50 people. So all I'm saying is, we wanna talk about recognizing it all the time. I do recognize it. That's why I'm on the Human Diversity Board. That's why I went to Montgomery, Alabama. That's why I went to University of Florida to work on that project. But there is no verification of that. So put an undisclosed number of people. That's what it is. We know that happened. So we don't want to just throw numbers out there out of the air to make it look better. That's all I was saying.
Yeah, but
we
we
want to make it where everybody knows it's there. Because I read it all the time. It was an article in the paper a couple weeks ago. Somebody wrote it in the, there was some article in the paper a couple weeks ago, and I read it again. So we need to vote. You gonna make the motion?
Yeah, but we can say that there was 330 acres. We can say that there was
You
30,
cannot
there was,
claim-
we can't
no.
say there was 30 homes, and we
Well,
can't
no.
say that there was people that.
Well, we're talking about people, Commissioner
Okay, well, if
Oliver.
you're talking about people, when you got 30 homes
That's
of
a-
people that just disappears
Well,
up in the air,
that-
so
that
that
might
just.
be, but you cannot
Again,
say-
again, you had
No.
to say, let me finish, may I please?
No.
May I please?
You can, yeah.
Because, again, you talk about numbers, again, you're the only one that mentioned numbers.
No,
But-
I'm
but-
not
but-
the only
but
one
the-
that
but the
mentioned
fact- but the
Straighten
fact-
that out.
but-
Ask that gentleman
but
right
there
there.
is-
He mentioned the numbers.
But there is facts.
He mentioned
There is facts that there was 30 homes.
There was more than 30 homes.
Okay. Let's say it was more than 30 homes. And we do know that historically that African Americans couldn't live. You couldn't have a mother, father, and one child living in a home in Ocoee in 1920 without having the grandparents or without having
Yeah.
the nieces, the nephews. So
Well-
you may have four, 5 families in one home.
Well,
So
that happened in
again,
Rosewood
all
too,
these
sir.
homes disappeared, the land disappeared, and all of a sudden, all these people
Yeah.
just disappeared. So nonetheless,
That,
let's not get into a numbers thing, because
I
again,
don't
for,
want to get into numbers, sir. He brought the numbers up.
okay, well,
He brought the
again,
numbers up.
again,
I'd like
Let
to
me tell
call
you
for
what
a
happened.
question.
I
and
talked
that
to the superintendent of
this is
schools.
not
Let
appropriate.
me.
Let's get to
ma'am,
the vote.
you're out of order. Hold on.
I'm calling for a
You're out of
question
order.
if I
Hold on.
can. Yeah, I might be out
The
of order.
superintendent of schools told me that he was in Rosewood, his grandmother or somebody. A lot of people left. They got on the trains and left that in Rosewood. That's what I'm saying is there's people left. There was probably more than 30 houses here, Commissioner.
Yeah.
I would say, because there was 450 people. But I don't know where they went. Some went to Popka, some went probably Groveland, I don't know. But we're talking about giving you the venue on the 2nd of November. So that's what we got to vote on.
I'd like to make a motion that we approve this, that we relax the fees or waive the fees.
Waive.
That we waive the fees for the use of Bill Breeze Park for this festival. I would also like to add to that motion that we add some type of police visibility for this particular event as well.
All right. I have to have a second. Second.
I'll second.
Commissioner Oliver made the motion, Commissioner Brinson seconded. All right, discussion.
No.
I have a question. On your motion, adding the police, I think we need to hold off on anything that we're dealing with next year's budget. Okay, because this is October 1st. That's going to be a budget item for the police department. I have no problem waiving it right now, but I think when you start to get to the police part, we're going to have to deal with that as a budget item with the police department. I'm sure that, I would hope it's not a problem, but I'm just trying to separate the two so that we don't do anything after September 30th with money until after we've been through the hearing. Because I think that's a police department issue. They need to come back with cost or no cost, or if they'll waive it, or if they,
Well-
but I'd like to go ahead and, the venue, yes, no problem. But I just, for technical purposes, I think the money, we need to look at October 1st.
Well, I understand what you're saying. I do agree, but I also like just add just a little bit to that we do have patrol officers that are patrolling the streets on Saturdays and Sundays. And if you notice, when I asked my motion, I asked for police visibility, that they at least patrol the area a little bit more than maybe normal. But at least leave them on their regular patrols, but at least have some visibility. That's all I'm saying.
And-
Maybe we can, without incurring any overtime, but just use the officers that's already on the streets to be able to just stop by or ride through. I think
Maybe
that
you
might
wanna
be
add
more
that.
more appropriate.
Well,
Maybe you add that, because, again, I don't want, because at that point, let's say you plan on 2,000 people when you do your permit, and the police department comes back and signs off and says they have to have so many officers, which could be an expense to you, but I just don't want to get into the expense of anything until October 1st. That's just a personal thing.
we also hired those event security people. That's who we hired Founder's Day too, to pay for them, to help subsidize the police department where we don't have to spend. We used to do all police and it cost so much money, nothing against police, but it just costs a lot of money. So we went to security, people like you go to the football games and places like that. We hired those to be working the gates and doing stuff like that. So that's another option too. But, so, you wanna leave the motion like it is?
I'll leave it like it is because I just asked for visibility.
All right.
General
He's just
visibility.
asking visibility.
Yes.
Yeah, okay, again, I'm just
Is that okay with you,
concerned
Commissioner Princeton?
Yes.
All right. All right,
you.
motion, any more discussion? Let's vote on the waiver and that. It carries.
Thank you.
Work through the recreation department. All right, thanks, sir.
Mr. Mayor, if I may, just for a moment.
Yeah.
Clarify what the city is doing relative to
Yeah.
the 100th year. We're hiring additional staff to work in the community relations on event planning, and we are looking for supporting at the HRDB policies that they want to implement relative to that. We're looking at a solemn approach to the occasion. At this time, not really a festival per se. But we would like to, if we could, since Senator Bracy has talked about this being a continuing event, go ahead and start working with him now to help understand the direction he's trying to go in and to make sure that we can maximize the coordination between the city efforts and the efforts he's wanted to have so that we can work together on that, just to make sure that that was a consensus from the commission for us to be able to work with them on that. Because the city has taken this on as a staff function and obligation. HRDB, of course, is providing advice to us, but the city looks at it as something that we need to elevate to the staff level rather than just volunteers. And so in the interest of making that commitment to go ahead and work with Senator Bracy on this first event while we get ready for the second event a year from now.
Okay, thank you. All right, back to the public comments. I have two. Mr. Angel Della Portilla. Transportation Town Hall meeting.
Yes, good afternoon, good evening, Mayor and Commissioners. Angel de la Portilla, 205 Calliope Street, Ocoee. I'm also the city's economic development consultant. I want to make a brief announcement for the commission, for the residents. Tomorrow at the Link Central Station in downtown Orlando, Mayor Demings is hosting a transportation town hall meeting. I'm sorry, but this image is not very clear. It's a copy, but it's at Links at 455 North Garland Avenue in Orlando. Mayor Demings is seeking approval by the Orange County Commission to put on the 2020 ballot a referendum that will ask voters if they would support a 1 penny tax to improve transportation throughout Orange County. And there's the tax, if it's passed, it's expected to generate $600 million a year for 30 years for transportation projects. So we know that some of the cities are putting together a list of some potential road projects. I believe that Ocoee also has a list of key areas that need traffic improvement. So we've also identified a need that will benefit our residents. And I've brought this issue up to 2 Orange County Public School Board members. Orange County schools in Valencia, they have a program that's called dual enrollment, where students beginning in the 11th grade, 11th and 12th grade, could attend classes at Valencia and could start earning college credit. However, the school district does not provide transportation. So students in Ocoee High School that wish to be involved in the program must either have their own vehicle or have a parent or a friend or a neighbor transport them to the Valencia campus on Kirkman Road. So one of the suggestions that I've made is if this tax is passed, perhaps some of the schools in the area could get some funding, or through the district, some additional funding could be provided to allow students at our schools that wish to participate in the program to get transportation to and from Valencia College. So I'm going to be bringing this up tomorrow at the workshop. I've already raised this issue with the school board and also with the West Orange Chamber, and it was very well received. So
Well,
That's it, Mayor.
I want to make a couple comments on that. We're getting together with really the tri-county mayors and the city managers about this issue because of the finished sales tax will pertain a lot of it to the Sunrail and Links, which doesn't, the Links does affect us, but Sunrail don't. So what our mayors in the area want the county to do is say up front that this part of this money will come to this city for fixing roads like you've been catching heck over, the Ocoee Poplar Road, McCormick Road, where feeders are coming in through town that they don't improve the roads. So that's what we're gonna work on. If they want us to help back that thing, then they've got to take $630 million, or $640 million needs to be put out to the cities proportionately for what the size the cities are, that it'll help us. We have roads in the county going through all through the city that we don't get any improvement on. And they come through the town and everything else. So we want to work on putting that. So we're meeting with the mayors, and then we're going to meet with Mayor Demmons about this before we want to put our voice into it. I'm meeting with the Apopka mayor, and we're all going to meet on this and talk about it because there's a lot of money there on that deal besides what needs to go to Sunrail. Sunrail's not going to affect me one iota out here to get me to work or anywhere else. So, and Links will help us some, and we want that to work, but we want to make sure that they understand before we jump on board to do this, our area wants to be representative where we can take care of streets, Clark Road, McCormick Road, Ocoee Poplar Road, Silver Star Road, all the roads got to be worked on. Crown Point Road, for instance, out off Palm Drive. There's a lot of money can be put in that thing and dev it out to the city. So you mentioned that because that's part of what we want to let them know, that we're not just going to jump on board to say, yeah, we'll support this. Then all of a sudden, all the money gets put out to the
Yeah,
area.
absolutely. This is going to be a very broad community discussion, and, you know, the city has, as I mentioned, a number of transportation needs. Transportation leads to better economic development, better access to our businesses, and better mobility for our residents as they're going to work. So we're going to certainly be very active in these meetings, and I'll bring back information to the commission as these are going on. I believe that Mayor Demmings will be at the West Orange Chamber in late, I think, October 25th for a meeting, and I'm sure he'll be making his way around through the area as well.
One other quick thing, we met last week with the chamber, with Betsy, Commissioner Betsy Vanderlei, and all the mayors of this area. We all met last week and talked to this. Chamber's kind of on board with it too. I'll let them say what they got to say, but they're kind of on board.
Mayor?
So, go ahead.
I would like to update the commission, as you all are aware. City Manager Robert Frank sits on the chamber board on behalf of the city commission, and at the meeting that the mayor just referred to, the group agreed to send a letter from all the membership communities that would go to Mayor Demmings that would outline, you know, some of the concerns. So that letter is going to go out tomorrow, and it outlines several things, such as what percentage of the funds will be allocated to county roads within cities. What will the term be for the allocation? You can't just be open-ended. Also, that it be patterned more like a capital-based issuance, so that there's a formula applied that takes into population and other things, other functional road classification things, which could result in a pretty healthy portion of that coming to the city. So that will be copied to everyone when it goes out. It's going from Stina on behalf of the member communities to the mayor, and to Byron Brooks, rather, and copied to the mayor. But we are all working very actively with Mr. Del Portilla, is working with us also. But we're working on a project list, and we want to make sure that they're very specific in that, and that they are also being communicative in the community so that they can understand what's expected. That's another very big issue that has resulted in failures in the past, is they have the community meetings, but it's still unclear as to what actual benefits to individual communities are going to be. And that's something that the group at large has been very vocal about.
Yeah, I think that's a good point. All right, so
Thank you,
anybody
Mayor.
got questions on that?
Yes, I have a question. Other than my good friend, Mr. Angel, is there anyone else planning on attending this town hall from the commission?
I'm planning on being there.
Tomorrow.
I'm planning on being there.
No, because I'm waiting till we set up our, I know exactly, I met with,
Right.
Mayor Demmons last week.
Right. And Mr. Mayor, I know you probably already heard what he's going to say tomorrow, but there's some of us up here
Yeah, if
have
y'all
not.
have, you ought to go.
And I'd encourage you, and I say this for this reason, we need to get better at asking for the money. If we don't ask and surrounding municipalities are getting money and we're not asking for it, we can't blame anyone who's holding the purse strings. So we got to get out there and ask for the money. And if we don't, that's our fault. So I would encourage this commission to go out there and be active and getting whatever resources we need to help our municipality, because as the mayor so well put, we're in need of infrastructure improvements, not just maintenance, and other things. And I think there's 1 penny increase, if it passes, and we put the necessary things in place, we can get our ample share to help us with our needs. But if we don't go out there and ask, and we don't show force, and keep being that squeaky wheel, I don't think we're going to get what we really deserve.
Commissioner, this is the, and I do agree, and we also need our citizens to be, actually, to take part in these meetings.
Absolutely.
This is the first one. It's a town hall meeting. I'm sure he's going to have many of these. We have the beautiful Lakeshore Center. I'm going to suggest that he comes out here and has a town hall meeting in West Orange County, and we have the facilities, and we'll bring the residents out from Ocoee and from our neighboring cities as well to basically be part of the discussion. So thank you all, Mayor.
That's what we got to do. All right, thank you. We have Valerie Jenkins. I think it's the president of the Lakeshore Center,
Yes.
right? Okay.
Yes. Good evening, Mayor and Councilman. My name is Valerie Tooley Jenkins, and I've been a resident of Ocoee for over 20 years. I moved here in 1997. I had an interest in renting the event center. When I called the event center and I spoke with, I called the Parks and Recreation Department, and I spoke with several people, and the first person that I spoke with told me that the rental fees were, for the dates that I wanted them, were $2,500, and that was a Saturday night. And then she also told me that if I wanted it on a Friday night, it would be $2,000. So I immediately hung up the phone and just thought that that was astronomical. Hung up the phone, and I began Googling other event centers in the area. So I'm like, $2,500, for working people who live in the Ocoee area, in the Ocoee city, was a little bit. So I got on the phone and I started calling, and I called Tanner Hall. For non-residents, it was only $1,000 for 6 hours. And when I spoke with the people at the Recreation Department for Lakeshore, they rent, from what I understood, in increments of 8 hours. So for 8 hours, it would be the $2,500 on Saturday and $2,000 on Friday. With Tanner Hall, for non-residents, it's $1,000 for non-residents, and for 6 hours, and for every additional hour, it's $150. So that was way less than the event center. Also called Winter Park Community Center, which is a very, very nice center also. It was $850 for residents for 8 hours, $100 deposit. And mind you, there was a deposit, there was also a damaged deposit for the event center of $750. So in total, if I wanted it for Saturday night, it was gonna be over $3,000 for the 8 hours. For Tanner Hall, for residents, it was only $800 for the 6 hours and $120 per additional hour, which would also have a $400 damage fee, which was much less than the Ocoee Center. So, if I'm gonna make a decision, I'm going with the one with the less, lesser price. However, I live in Ocoee. Then the Winter Parks Community Center is $850 for a resident for residents for 8 hours with a $100 deposit. For non-residents, it's $1,800 for 8 hours with the same $100 deposit. Still much less than the $3,000 here at in Ocoee. And I also checked with the Claremont City Center, which was much less expensive. Very nice center. I visited all of them. And it's $60 per hour for a resident. So if I wanted that for 8 hours, that's like, you know, if they wanted that for whomever lived there, wanted it for 8 hours, it would be like $400, $480 with a $10 application fee and a $500 non-refundable security fee. For non-residents, $80 per hour, which is still much less. So I'm just concerned as a resident of Ocoee and having lived here, you know, supported here, and wanting to, you know, use the event center. I want to know, and then they did say that they would give me a 10% discount, you know, on the rental of the actual building. I do know that the building has been renovated and it's very, very nice. I do know that also. These other buildings are too. So that was just my concern, the pricing of the event center for residents here in the Ocoee city area limits.
Okay.
Probably the first one that probably came to you all with this, but
Well,
I do have a
there's,
concern.
you know, I know where Tanner Auditorium is. It's not like Lakeshore Center. I know it's big. It's not big as this one. So I've been to meetings in it. It's not very updated, but it
Which
is.
one?
Tanner Auditorium.
Oh, that's pretty nice.
Also, years ago, I was in the Winter Park one, but also, like, our staff went out and did a price variation check on everybody. So I don't have that in front of us. We can verify it again, but it did go out, and then it came to the commission and to vote on. So we can go back and bring it back again and look at it, but that's
Yes.
what it is.
I just gave it to you. I checked them today.
Yeah, I know.
Uh-huh.
I will tell you that we got money tied up. We just put $4 million in the redoing of the building with all the area around it. And we had spent, no, I think that was, we spent $4 million to build it, $4 million to build it. Then we just got through doing another thing. But that's, if the commission wants to look at it, bring back prices again. But I don't know what the status of rentals are right now, because we don't have it back open yet.
Yes.
And I don't have a problem either discounting to citizens, maybe even more than 10%.
Yes, definitely.
But it is a cost factor of what have to have staff and stuff. And so I think if we could get a city manager, assistant city managers here, we'd have to look at the cost factor for other places. People are trying to rent it now. They're all wanting to rent it, you know.
I'm trying to rent it now.
But I mean, do you need the whole place? Because there's a room over there you can rent for a lot less than that in there that'll hold 100 people.
I need a space for 200 people.
Oh, okay.
Yes.
Yeah. So they can divide it off into 200.
Yes.
Yes, ma'am.
And that was the price I got for 200.
Yeah. Okay. Well, I don't know if any of us have the prices in front of us. I got it in my office, but that's what was brought to us. We had different prices from all the different areas, Ms. Jenkins. So we can have them look at it again and bring it back to the commission. It's up to them whether they want to do it or not, you know, so.
Yeah, I agree with you. That is very costly. And to your point, as a taxpayer, I'm assuming you pay your taxes, this is something that should be available to you at a much smaller rate, reduced rate. And we discussed issues here before on the commission, and I believe that residents and taxpayers within the municipality should not just have a discount, but should have a deep discount. And it is, I mean, it's like double dipping, you know, and I just don't agree with that. So to the mayor's point, I think we should take a look at it, look at the numbers, see if they make sense. But some of the things that we do for the city, we will not be able to recoup that cost. Some of the things we do for the city, we are doing for the residents of the city and others who are outside the city. And we just have to, that's just the cost of doing business. And so to your point, Ms. Jenkins, I'm glad you brought it to the commission. You're not the first one, but you did put it in a way that cannot be ignored. So thank you very much.
Yeah, I think, I'd like to see if the citizens get half of what the other is. My personal favor, that'd be half to the city, but the other problem you get into, then we let citizens give it to their friends. Say, I'll rent it for you for the friends. We get in, we gotta have an honor system or somewhere, but I know that's happened at Tanner Auditorium, because I know somebody did it. But you gotta have an honor system. If we're gonna cut the rates back to do that, we gotta make sure that we do that fairly. Not to have somebody letting their neighbors and their, cousins from somewhere else come in and then do it. So that's the problem. But I don't have a problem looking at adjusting it to the citizens that have a legal address with a water bill, cutting it in half. So that's up to this commission. If they want to vote on it, we can bring it back and vote on that,
I have just a question. Is it okay?
Yeah, go ahead.
When is your event?
May 30th, 2020.
Of 2020, okay.
Yes.
So you have some time.
Yes, I do.
Okay, yeah, so it sounds like you've done your homework, and I certainly agree with the comments of the mayor and Commissioner Brinson. I think that as a taxpaying citizen in the city of Ocoee, and been here as long as you've been here, you've paid quite a few taxes toward the city. Yes. And I think that a reduced rate for citizens, we should seriously look at that. And I think that you've done your homework, and could we possibly come back with something? How soon do you think we may be able to come back with something, some comparable rates compared to what we're charging versus other municipalities around us?
I would respectfully ask the commission, since we do have a tentative millage public hearing coming up on September 11th and a special meeting pursuant to tonight's decision on solid waste, if we could put together a briefing item and summary for the meeting on the 17th.
I think all we'd have to do then is just put a stipulation in the price sheet that if it's a citizen registered water bill citizen living there, that we cut it and we do half.
I'd like to see the statistics that we got when we came up with these rates, because I know that we did them comparable to facilities that. Lake Mary. Because I know
yes.
Tanner is, I mean, the kitchen in Tanner is quite small. And we're talking a closet compared to what we have here.
We have a chef kitchen.
We have and I realize that you're gonna, I don't know, Tanner, do they require caterers? Because
No.
we require caterers.
They didn't say anything about caterers at this point.
Okay, I know that years ago, they used to have very strict requirements. I mean, I've been there for functions, and
Oh, I have
somebody
too,
was hanging
several.
around watching every move you made, but I'd like to see, I guess we have to revisit to go back to see who we use as comparables, because, yes, I understand as a resident, but then I also understand as we have a responsibility to get that place to pay a bond off on that too. So, and not at the sake of our residents, but people who come in from out of town, they're willing to pay $2,500 for Saturday for a wedding.
I understand.
But I would love to look at the comparables that we had, because I don't know who we use, it's been so long. Lake Mary was one. Have you been to Lake Mary?
No, but I've seen some pictures of it, and your prices are very comparable
Yeah,
with it.
and
Mary's
I
big
can't
too.
think of who else that
Yeah.
we use as comparables, where there's some tours were taken of different
Mark?
facilities.
Al,
Mayor, I just wanted to add real quick, we've adjusted the rates twice. The first time around, we were too low, and so we hired a market consultant, and we came back and jacked them back up. So hopefully, this time we can hit the sweet spot and hit some of the policies.
it all comes down to the citizens
Right.
and what fee we
Agreed.
can charge and make it work.
Good
Can
evening,
you tell
Mayor.
us who the comparisons were?
Good evening, Mayor, Commissioners. We use Lake Mary. We've also Haines City. Haines City was another one. Those are the most comparable function space to our facility. We can fit 400 people into our facility. We're adding the the whole wedding garden, that part, all this other stuff. But to have our kitchen, the separate room you can rent, the prices that we found we were very comparable to pretty much Lake Mary and Haines City.
Just bring those out and give them out to everybody.
I'd like to see them again.
Okay.
Been a while.
Val, you worked on that too, didn't you?
Yes, yes.
Would y'all get that together and give it back to all the commissioners? Then we can address the one for the residents, Ms. Jenkins.
Okay, sure,
Try to make it as fair as we can,
of course.
so.
We also did a cost analysis at that time, what it was costing us to operate the
Yeah.
facility. And try to recover that cost, plus make
But
some.
as
contribution
Commissioner
towards
Brinson
capital
said,
costs.
that all things don't pay the full thing back, but we want to try to get as close to it as we can without having to raise taxes to pay for it. But that last, Commissioner Wilson also said it's under a bond issue too.
Yeah.
So to do what we did, we had to do the bond issue to get it there, so. But we can work on that, I promise you.
Okay,
And we'll make sure that when we do, we'll let you notify you. Please give him your, name and number and where we can contact you to make sure you got the information when we get it back.
okay.
Alrighty.
This should also appear on our October agenda. We are right in the middle of budgeting workshops, so we probably want to get through our budgeting workshops, and then we can probably look at this, because they have enough on their plate as it is, so. October 1st,
What's that?
commission meeting.
Oh, yeah,
So,
yeah.
back in
Yeah,
October.
October 1st is next one.
Well,
September 17th,
Then October 1st.
yeah,
Yeah.
we'll be through the
We'll
budgeting.
get an
cycle.
answer to, all right?
Okay,
Thank you very much.
thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you for waiting.
Sure.
All right. I think that's all that have filled out forms. Okay, all right. Now, back, you finished, Commissioner Brinson, so I'll move to Commissioner Wilson.
Were you finished with your comments regarding?
He brought up that, we're gonna discuss that. Craig's gonna get some answers for you. I think, here's what I took from it. I know what it is, because I was here when we did